Hi, I'm Kirsten from Hot Government. Once upon a time in Racine, all schools were neighborhood schools. Then came the unified school system. It promised to make the schools more cost efficient and produce better grades for our students. Sadly, this is not what happened. But over the years, unified schools have asked the community for more money, taxes, and the community gave them more, and more, and more.
Hello, Monday morning. Good to see you. You're back with Talking Racine with Mr. George Myers.
Morning.
Mr. Jim Spodek.
Morning.
And who the heck am I? Dr. Ken Jorgen. Well, we're going to talk about some things today that should be of interest to you. The very first thing right out of the box is emergency hirings. What is an emergency hiring? I don't understand what this is all about. Do you know what this is all about, Jim? You wrote this thing here. This is about some people being hired down at City Hall, and man, it had to be done, right?
These are all no-bid contracts. Mesa is using COVID-19 as emergency powers to contract vendors.
Yep. Oh, and who are some of these vendors? I see Kane Communications Group. That's a familiar name.
Yes,
Kane.
it is.
Yeah.
Now, she ran as a in the 2nd District against Christine Saracen, who at that time had fallen out of favor with John Dickert. So John Dickert recruited Kimberly Kane to run against Saracen. Now, she did lose in that race.
Well, she was kind of like a small-time Milwaukee television personality or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Now, she also was involved in the, I think he appointed her to the Cable Commission at that time.
Right.
Then she was going to then take over Car 25 and run back, now we're talking probably 2011, 2012, maybe, run Car 25. And that was the time they wanted to get rid of the current staff there because they weren't, they
weren't bending to the will of the administration.
Exactly. And so they had to come up with it. Now, again, there was a little bit of a uprising, I guess you'd call it.
Well, there was a little bit of hanky-panky going on. I mean, she was kind of like appointed. They alleged that bids had gone out and that this was the winning bid. And then a former alderman checked with some of the people who allegedly received bids. And guess what, George?
Huh? No, I didn't get any letter.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was so funny.
Total bogus.
So she was the recipient of that little bit of corruption.
They pulled that back real quick and decided, well, we better send out. So I think they sent out 2 letters to the next people, whatever. At least Scott Nelson finally got it.
Yeah.
He got
it was so much. It
was obvious they were just trying. And now we see the proof of what we suspected. They just wanted to close it down.
Well, here's the thing. She's gotten a $150,000 contract for COVID-19 outreach, whatever that is. Now, they come up and say, well, it's only costing the city about $20,000, and these other are going to be grants. The fact is, though, it's still a contract. It should still be bid out to different agencies or whatever, if that's the plan. But under this emergency orders, the mayor decided that this is an emergency hire. We need to hire her.
What happens when the whole COVID thing fades into history, which eventually it has to?
Well,
and then we don't have anybody running Car 25 right now, do we?
Bingo.
I mean, we've been kind of waiting for
somebody. So my guess
would
would be that this is going to automatically roll right into Car 25, which originally was where they were going to put her.
And now they've got it under control of somebody they can trust.
Right, and the reason they can trust her, George, is
and keep the George Myers show off the air.
Yeah,
probably talking Racine.
That was a dangerous show. I remember who was that one guest you had? I was talking about psychopaths and politicians. Who was that guy?
I don't know.
And we're starting off our program today with Dr. Ken Jorgen, who is going to discuss some more about sociopathy and politics. Now, we've done had you in a couple times on this, Doctor, and the whole goal of this thing was to get people who are going to be in politics or potentially be in politics, who are running for office, to take a test to find out, have these people got some imbalances in their viewpoint of society? I suspect a lot of them do, but at any rate, the point was to get a
screening process initiated in place.
And
because there are a specific personality disorder which I think has a very deleterious effect on a person's ability to serve in public office. So that's not to say that they shouldn't be allowed in there at all, but people should definitely be aware of them.
And that's the main thing. And there are definitely some people in office, a lot in office. I mean, arrogance to me is one of the most damaging personalities to be in public office.
Communications, or Kimberly has donated substantially to the Democratic Party or Democratic, so she's been in this loop. So it's not as though we're going out to find a contractor. Let's just say, I'm assuming that it's going to be Car 25 that she's going to be operating, when all this is over.
Well, it's a projection. I think it's a what would you call that? It's not really a prediction. It's a forecast. It's,
and that's something at least double what Scott Nelson was getting for running
absolutely.
that show. This Mason guy, he is good. He's read Machiavelli, the Prince. He understands politics, man. When you got these people around you to help you get to power, pay them back. Make sure they get their money.
Make sure
$150,000 for something that was being
What
done.
is that a week?
What's that?
$3,000 a week, roughly.
Yeah, that's
just
$3,000,
almost.
$3,000 a week.
Yeah, almost.
That's not
$3,000 a
bad.
week. Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to get $600 a day coming in, from the government?
Well, if you get 2 weeks of non-paid vacation, it's $3,000 even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
And if I was getting that kind of money, I'd take 2 weeks off and not get paid. I wouldn't care. Yeah, here's a whole list of contributions on the part of Kimberly Kane.
Exactly.
Don't put that on the screen, Jim.
Oh, okay. But here's the other thing, then we go to the Big Step. Now, if you remember, Big Step was a hiring or monitoring company out of Milwaukee that, if you go back now to Foxconn, where $900,000 was allocated for jobs, to train people for jobs at Foxconn, about $400,000 went to the attorney's office, or $275, and there was another $125 for something. And you remember we had Ola on the show with his work program, saying, "Hey, what about me? I've been doing this for."
Can I get a little taste of this?
Yeah.
I've been doing it for basically for free.
Got about $300,000 or $400,000, and of course, I think they came up with 15 jobs or 11 jobs. Something like that, and I think most of them were
already existing.
Existing jobs.
Yeah, they were transfers.
Total bust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, $75,000 is going to go to Big Step for monitoring jobs. Again, no bid contract.
Friend of the family.
Sole source.
Yeah.
It's sole source is the term they use. But again,
That's a nice sounding way of putting it, isn't it?
yeah.
Sole source. They're the only people that provide this service. Yeah, sole source.
Yeah.
But again,
so we had to do it. And
Right.
it's emergency, and the council is non-existent.
It sounds like
right
a television dance show or something.
Something
Soul
like-
Source.
Yeah.
But it is now with this, with this COVID-19 emergency issue, it gives him the power to do this type of stuff, or at least my personal thing is he takes advantage of the COVID-19.
Right. It's been politicized.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
It's a definite problem.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous thing. People are dying. People are getting sick. A lot of ugly things are happening. But it's being politicized and taken advantage of politically.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that we don't like.
I'm looking for my article now. This normally comes at the end of the meeting, but this is the time to bring it up. This Evers. This is all under Evers' safer at home quarantining, and that's coming to an end. And right now, the Republicans are pushing to not have it extended, but the city has sent in an amicus brief that's where they send in a legal thing supporting the extension, and it's got Corey Mason's picture right there.
Right. Well, why would you not want to keep complete power? Really, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, he's having fun with this. He's got all these new people coming in. He's got another. We're up to 175,000 plus. How much is the other one?
75.
75. That 250, a quarter of $250,000 now. And
2 1/4, 150 and 75.
Yeah, 2 1/4.
Don't make this look ugly, George.
It's 2 1/4. But 2 1/4 is 2 1/4.
That's a lot of money.
Instead of 250.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're right.
It's almost $250,000 in new staff. support that he's using taxpayers' money to buy these people that are going to help him maintain his power structure. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. He should write his own book. When he gets done with this, just show other
But you're
mayors.
absolutely right.
How do you do it? How do you accumulate power and keep it?
Yeah.
And they would argue that this is not tax money; it's from FEMA. Well, where does FEMA get their funding?
Yeah, right.
Well, here's the thing: when that money comes in, I mean, it should be really scrutinized and used sparingly. Really, I mean, go out there and do what you think we should do in a community. That's what an alderman and a common council is for. Somehow that common council seemed to have fallen to the side, and it's the mayor and his staff.
Boy, have you got a screwed up attitude.
Yeah, I sure do.
They're supposed to be like thrifty with the public money.
Well, that's something that's
Use
Supposed to be value shopping.
Use it
Oh,
wisely.
my God.
Come on.
You're never going to go anywhere.
No,
tonight.
yeah, exactly. That I
You're
know.
going to be stuck on a TV show someplace, Jim.
Yeah, you're just going to be a barking dog on the porch. That's all you are.
That's it. Okay, one more. Human resource director. She was a young woman was hired. She came from
Minnesota.
Robbinsdale, Minnesota, which I did a little look that up a little bit. A town of 13,000 people. It's a little
That sounds like a big metropolis.
little northwest of Minneapolis. Looked like a very nice little town. She's a town clerk, and she's coming to take over Racine's human resource position, formerly held by Tim Tompkins, who was bought off at $225,000. And that's a whole other story we can get into later.
No, I think the pronunciation of her name is Kate Croteau.
Okay, it could be.
Yeah. Well, I lived in St. Louis for a while, so they had a lot of French things down there.
Okay.
And it looks like Croteau or something.
Croteau.
I think it's Croteau. Yeah. We'll find out. She'll be coming along as Human Resources Director. And, I was asking before, none of us really know exactly what a Human Resources Director does. I mean, you check on people's insurance plans. And
Well, they've operated
we've
without
gone along
one.
without one,
Yeah,
for
for 10 months. So,
Yeah.
Don't they also look for people to do for
They
work?
do
that they
interviews.
need?
Yeah.
Yeah, in other words, they need somebody in a position there. If their
Right.
job is to kind of.
She
Well,
might be interviewing
We used
Kimberly
to call
Kane
it
for...
personnel or something,
Right.
didn't they? In
Yeah.
old times.
She might end up interviewing Kimberly Kane to see if she's Car 25 material.
There you go. See
You
how
never
it
know.
works.
Yeah, it all works
Yeah,
hand
it
in
all
hand.
works together.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, the unified lawsuit. What's going on there? The appeal has been filed.
correct.
And is there some kind of a court date coming up?
I believe this Thursday there's a hearing on it. There are a number of issues I know that the attorneys brought up, and I know, George, you're probably more in tune to it than I am. But I know there's a video out that Hot Government put out, and I'd like to play it.
Yeah, let's play that video, and then
Yeah,
so we can go back to the suit.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kirsten from Hot Government. Once upon a time in Racine, all schools were neighborhood schools. Then came the unified school system. It promised to make the schools more cost efficient and produce better grades for our students. Sadly, this is not what happened. But over the years, unified schools have asked the community for more money, taxes, and the community gave them more, and more, and more. And the children's scores continued to go down, and the costs continued to go up. Now they are asking for $1 billion over 30 years. Wait, will students even be in school buildings in 30 years? Now, in all the pandemic confusion, they say they won the right to tax you $1 billion by 5 votes. When questioned, they recounted their own votes again. Yep, they said they won again. But Hot Government, honest, open, transparent government, the Racine Taxpayers Association, and the Libertarian Party Racine have filed an appeal in court to challenge their vote count and procedure. But we need money to continue. To be exact, we need $10,000. Can you help? Go to hotgovernment.com to donate. There is a lot more to talk about. We will keep you updated. Thank you.
Well, that was a well-done video.
And just like to emphasize the part, this legal battle does cost some money.
Yeah.
All right, and it mentioned in the video it's $10,000. But if you got an extra $10 or $25, go to the hotgovernment.com website, just like I said on the video, and make a contribution because it's important.
Well, it's to everyone's benefit, you know. I
Right.
mean, if this thing ends up being overturned, it's going to be a lot of savings for a lot of people over the
That
years.
would, yeah.
Way more than any $10 investment.
Well, I think
that
it's
you-
another thing. You know, I mean, I guess I realize no one's against education, no one's against teachers. No, the fact is, it's $1 billion to a community that's struggling, and it needs to really be, I think, vetted a lot more than it was within the community. And
Yeah, you go 30 years down the road too. There's already talk as a result of this coronavirus thing of doing more teaching at home from a central point. So you don't even need all these buildings. We may find out 20 years down the road we hardly need school buildings anymore.
Are you saying that the educational paradigm might go through a transformational period?
Yeah, could very well. And we got this. Well, we got this $1 billion here for new buildings. What should we do with it then?
Yeah, let's buy new suits.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I wanted to mention something that happened over in Brunswick, Georgia. And I think probably some of you people have heard about it on the news. There was a young black guy who was out jogging, and he got stopped by a couple of white guys. And they told him that they felt that he looked like somebody who probably had done a burglary. And this is a confrontation that goes on. It got ugly, confrontational, got physical. The guy that was just out jogging ends up getting shot. It took 2 months for anybody to be charged with his death. And
Where have we heard that before?
yeah, exactly. That's why I brought it up, because it's a district attorney that's refusing to charge the police. There was so much public outcry that eventually they had to do something. And we've got a very similar situation here in Racine. I just wanted to bring up Patricia Hansen, once more, the DA that we currently have, and her failure in the case of Tyrese West, for one thing. And was she, how much, she was also in par when Dante Shannon was killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's other things. There's other issues out within the community that she decides that, you know, she's just not going to look at, not even comment on, even though there are criminal complaints. You know, I keep going back to Machinery Road. There's a criminal complaint here. There's no
out there
investigation.
for more than 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost 3.
That's
And
right, yeah.
Not even look at it. I mean, not even respond to it. So I don't know what kind of DA does this. Maybe the same type that's in Brunswick, Georgia. And I think we've got one here, and she needs to really go, for my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we should put up the 10 most wanted in local government.
Yeah.
People that we want to leave. In the meantime, George, have you looked at the news lately?
Yeah, one of the things we kind of touched on, and that is the legal battle on whether we're going to continue with this stay-at-home stuff, safer-at-home stuff. I think I personally have heard so much data that's wrong coming from the government with regards to this virus. I just don't trust any of it anymore. I'm hoping it comes to an end, and then people can make their own decision about whether they want to go out shopping with or without a mask. And people that have the places that the stores and the barber shops and stuff can decide on them between them and their customers whether they want people to come in and get a haircut, and let's get this control back to where it belongs, down at the street level, at the grassroots level, where the people are living it, not from City Hall and from the state mansion.
Well, let's be clear. You're not advocating that people completely disregard this thing, and I'm certainly not. I think that there's enough evidence that this demonstrates that this is a dangerous thing, but it should not take control of our whole social structure.
Well, I'm tired of it coming from the top. I am saying that. I'm not
Right.
saying you disregard it. I'm just saying you get the information, you deal with it on your own.
Right,
I just don't trust any more of what's coming out of the government. This I've heard so many different versions of it. How am I going to trust what they say? Why should they be telling me what to do with my life based on what they say?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing.
I'll take that information.
Right.
I'll deal with
I agree.
what I understand of it, and then I will make the decision. If I make the wrong decision, which people do, it could cost me my life, but I'm willing to do that. I've had to make decisions like that back when I was tripping around the jungles of Vietnam, if I made the wrong decision.
Oh, we got an angry vet. Look out.
That could be it, So it's not a big deal, You make those decisions. This live free or die we hear. It's easy to put on a license plate. It's easy to put up as a state model. But sometimes when it comes to doing it, well, how about let's put it into action?
Well,
live free
I'm
or
all
die.
in favor of living free, but I'm also in favor of living free responsibly.
Don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and I think you're in the same.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. See, when the government tells you what to do, you are being irresponsible. You're no longer responsible. They are responsible now for your life. I'm just saying, put the responsibility back with the individual. It's his life, his data. Let him decide or her decide what he's going to do with it.
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
So now you get $1,200 per person, $500 for kids. So now all of a sudden the government is sending you a check to stay away from work or whatever certain things. Now they're talking about possibly $2,000 and possibly continuing.
I'm holding out for $2,500 myself.
But I'm just saying, is this not a form of control with this money that's being pumped out, these trillions of dollars that are coming out of government? I mean, is it not just another? I mean, all right, I'm working at Walmart. I'm working there now. I'm working extra hours because the shelves are empty, and I'm working harder. I'm not getting this $600 a week extra bonus.
You know what the problem is, Jim?
What?
It's come to the point where we don't feel like we can trust government.
That's pretty much it.
It's very, very likely that this has been a fact throughout the history of this country, that you cannot really trust the government. But it's becoming more and more obvious to people now. And that's causing
more and more trouble. Let me
it's
just finish
causing
that
a-
sentence.
it's causing a
more and more
social
obvious
breakdown.
why you shouldn't trust the government.
Well, yeah.
But there's a certain amount
they're
of
giving
money,
us
more
more
people are
reason.
experiencing it.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, there's a certain segment of the population that says, "Oh, hang man, send me this money. The government's great. They're sending me this money. I mean, Donald Trump's name's on it, for crying out loud."
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
But Jim, when you look at it from perspective, look at what the government's doing. They're saying, okay, we're shutting your business down, so we're taking responsibility for it. We're going to give you money for
Exactly.
that. And you're taking the person out of the picture, saying, you go home and sit. We'll throw you this money and then we'll figure out how we're going to get out of it. Well, that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work, George, but what
the
I'm saying
control
is-
is going up to the top, and that's what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
but the
that is a control
also
mechanism.
to that waitress or bartender or whatever that's sitting at home, now he's collecting probably, sometimes some of these guys are collecting more than he earned. So now it doesn't look that bad. So now you're saying, well, maybe this isn't such a bad thing that the government
right. That's
is
right.
taking
Yeah.
charge of certain things.
They're looking to you, the government, now.
Right. Right, it's
For,
like
for
that.
where the answer is, and
Yeah.
suppose themselves.
So
and
this
the
is where I
relationship with
think
their
you find that
company.
they say, well, you're just not being responsible. Well, no, I'm being responsible, but I'm looking a little deeper into this, say, who is trying to control individuals to think in a certain pattern that maybe don't really understand what's happening to them?
That's a good way to look at it.
You know?
I think it's worthwhile to look at that because that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're handing over control on a voluntary basis. You're volunteering to put the chains on. Well, therefore it's not slavery because you volunteered.
They're golden handcuffs, George. Put the golden
Well, yeah,
handcuffs
that's
on.
true.
But
I
you got
mean,
businesses that are saying, "Hey, I want to open my business." So now they're fighting back, and they're saying, "Well, are they really being safe?" I mean, it's just such a it's a mess.
It's overregulated, and
Yeah.
when we get too many regulations like this, even if they're ethically inspired,
When you
we're-
take common sense out of it, what they
yeah.
call a law and order mentality.
Oh my God!
Hey, one last
Have you
thing
got
I want to
anything else on
hit.
here?
I want to hit one with this Ajax project. The city of Racine, the Ajax project was on the uptown area. It was a multi-unit apartment complex, and they're now asking for $2.4 million in addition to what the city. had
Well,
given
the
them
way
to
it's structured, though, is they want us to borrow the $2.4 million and lend it to them. Now, the
Right.
interest on that note is $5,000 a month, I believe.
They could be, yeah.
And so they're going to give us $6
Right.
for us to borrow the money and lend it to them. So we're supposed to be making $1,000 a month on that.
When did maybe it's just me,
When did
but-
we become a bank?
Bingo. When did we become a bank? Again, we go into these projects. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad project.
Was that an emergency project or was that?
No, I think they actually voted on it.
Oh,
They
they
gave it to
council.
them.
Okay, go ahead then.
Yeah, they did actually vote on it.
Glad to
Give
hear
to
it.
them. But I mean, the fact is, they go into these projects and then they get held up later on for. I mean, if you go back to a bank and say, "Geez, I'm doing this project. Gee, I can't come up with the extra $2.4 million," they're going to run you through a.
We're really invested now.
Yeah. Well, see, we're in.
Yeah.
So now, you know, what are we going to do? Say, oh no, it's not going to happen?
We've seen those
I
extensions,
don't
yeah.
like these projects where they get into these developments and then all of a sudden this public-private partnership. I just don't like those.
That started off as a good. That actually came out of the libertarian venue. You know, it was the idea.
Oh, you guys are at fault.
Yeah,
my
I know
God,
it.
I
I know
didn't know
it. If anything turned sour, that was it, man. I mean, the point was, it started off as this public-private thing, which I would think was kind of an outsourcing type of thing, where you had the private sector, the government having the private sector do more things in conjunction with what the government wanted to do. But it's been just completely meshed now, and it's gotten into all kinds of special programs, and they call it public-private, and it's become, I think, a mess.
What do you think we ought to do? Plow everything into Lake Michigan and plant corn?
No, we're not going to do that. We are just going to. We're going to start with getting a decent common council in there. We're going to then we can do a little housekeeping with all these $250,000 or $225,000. Sorry, I didn't mean to exaggerate there. But get all this riffraff out of City Hall, and let's get down to a government that's working for the constituency and not taking all their money, all their excess money, and putting it into new personnel and new programs and stuff like that. We can do it gradually, and we can do it on a common sense basis, piece by piece, and really turn Racine into this production machine, titan of industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the concept that you just expressed there, excess money. I've never experienced that.
That's because the government taxes before you have a chance to experience it.
On that note, we're going to leave. It's been a pleasure being with you. Come back and see us again next week.